This is lesson 552 on synthetic division. Today is January 16th. This is period 5. All right. So we have learned how to add, subtract, and multiply polynomials recently. Today we are learning how to divide polynomials, and we're using the synthetic division method. So here's how this goes. All right, we are going to make a list of all of the coefficients of that first polynomial. So those coefficients are those numbers that are in front of the variable, okay? So my first coefficient is a 1, okay? That 1 goes with the x to the power of 3 term. And then, so we're starting with the x to the power of 3 term, and we're counting down from there. So I've got a power of 3 term, then my power of 2 term, that its coefficient is -1. And then the power of 1 term, its coefficient is 4. And then the constant term, which is -10. Excuse me? It is a positive word. You don't have to write, you're making a list. We're not like adding them up right now. Alright, so I'm doing my upside down long division. This might look a little familiar to you. We reviewed this when we did the first quarter exam review. When we make that upside down long division, we're leaving a blank space underneath this row of numbers. So make it so that there's room in there for us to write something later. And then we're going to take the opposite of this number. And we're going to put that opposite here. So in this case, it is going to be a -2. Was there a question?
No. Did you do this before we took that test on the computer?
All right, so I'm going to draw an arrow and bring down the 1. And then we're going to multiply, add, multiply, add, multiply, add. We're going to repeat that until we're done. My first multiply is 1 times -2, which is -2. And then we add -1 plus -2 is -3. And then we multiply. -3 times -2 is +6. And then add 4 plus 6 is 10. And then multiply 10 times -2 is -20. And then add -10 plus -20 is -30. Alright, after you get done that process, then we're going to use those numbers to write the polynomial answer. So here's how you do that. We're going to take this exponent, the largest exponent, whatever it is, and we're going to subtract 1 from that. Subtract 1. So in this case, that largest exponent is the power of 3. Subtract 1 from 3, you get 2. So that tells me that my first term is the x to the power of 2 term. And then I'm going to count down from 2. So that's a power of 2. Then I've got the power of 1. And then I've got the constant term. And then I've got the remainder. And we're going to now use all of that. These are the in red, those numbers are the coefficients of those terms. So I've got 1x squared minus 3x, the constant term is 10, so plus 10, and then the remainder. When you write the remainder, you write it as a fraction, okay? That number is the numerator, so I've got -30. The denominator is whatever I divided by, in this case, x plus 2. And that's it. That's your polynomial answer for the division. Can I move on?
Yeah.
Right, here's my next problem. Do you think you'd like me to do this, or do you think you'd like to try it first?
I'd like to try.
Okay, go ahead.
Where? The one at the end.
The term at the end is a -1 because this is a -1. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Alright, so here's my work. So I brought down the 1 times negative 3 is negative 3, and 4 plus negative 3 is 1, and 1 times negative 3 is negative 3. Negative 1 plus negative 3 is negative 4. Negative 4 times negative 3 is positive 12. Negative 1 plus 12 is positive 11. Subtract 1 from the power of 3, so this is the power of 2. Then x to the 1, then the constant term, then the remainder. So it is x squared plus x minus 4 plus 11 over x plus 3. How did I do?
Miss, you have to, never. Never mind, you're right. Wait. Yeah.
Alright, so this problem is harder. Write this down, and I'll walk you through this. Don't try and do this one without me. There's something I have to explain to you here. I'm going to start again, okay? So I've got to make sure that I have a placeholder for every term in descending exponent order. So I'm starting with the largest exponent. In this case, the largest exponent is 4. And I'm counting down from 4. So I've got the power of 4 term, the power of 3 term, the power of 2 term, okay? There is no power of 1 term. I don't have x, just x without an exponent up here. And so I'm going to need a placeholder when I write my list for that term, okay? So I've got my 9, that's my x to the power of 4 coefficient. My x to the power of 3 coefficient is 69. Then my x to the power of 2 coefficient is negative 22. And then my x to the power of 1 coefficient is 0. And then my constant term is 64. So that's like the hardest part of this. Like the thing that trips up students more often than anything else is not being able to identify when we need a 0 and where to put it. Okay? If you can get that, you've got the hardest part of this. Alright, so I'm going to do my upside down long division, taking the opposite of the 8. I'm putting the negative 8 here. Draw my arrow, bring down 9. And then I'm going to multiply. 9 times negative 8 is negative 72. 69 plus negative 72 is negative 3. Negative 3 times negative 8 is positive 24. Negative 22 and positive 24 is 2. 2 times negative 8 is negative 16. 0 plus negative 16 is negative 16. Negative 16 times 8. Thank you. 64 plus 128. I think it's 192 if I'm doing that in my head right. Alright, so subtracting 1 from the largest exponent. The largest exponent is 4. Subtract 1, this is x to the power of 3, and then keep counting down by 1. So this is the power of 3, this is the power of 2, this is the power of 1, then the constant, then the remainder. So my answer is 9x cubed minus 3x squared plus 2x minus 16 plus 192 over x plus 8. Alright, so let's try another one by yourself, okay? Can you identify for me which term is missing for this problem? X to the third, good. So make sure you put a 0 in the place where x to the third should go. I'm going to give you a few minutes to try. Alright, so my largest exponent is the power of 4, so I've got 9 for the power of 4 term. I've got a 0 for the power of 3 term. Power of 2 term is 15. Power of 1 term is -7. Constant term is 10. So the first thing is make sure you've got your list correct. You've got the 0 in the right place. I'm going to put a +2 here. Bring down the 9. 9 times 2 is 18. 0 plus 18 is 18. 18 times 2 is 36. 15 plus 36 is 51. 51 times 2, 102. -7 plus 102, 95. 95 times 2, 190. 10 plus 190 is 200. So this is the power of 3 term, power of 2 term, the power of 1 term, the constant term, the remainder. So this is 9x to the third plus 18x squared plus 51x plus 95 plus 200 over x minus 2.
Did this, right?
How did I do? Okay. I'm gonna